to draw this cabinet over here on the wall. This is the 2 point, this is the 1 point. I'm going to draw it on the opposite wall that it is drawn on this one. So I'm going to take this line. I notice that as I go to draw this, that this line is kind of leaning. See how this box here kind of leans to the right a little bit? Look at this box right here. This line here is not true. This line is leaning where, and I'm judging it by this left side of the page, right? So this needs to be corrected as I go through. I'm not just tracing this, I'm using this as a guide, but I'm questioning it as I go, and I'm saying, well, maybe I don't want to just follow that, and I want to change this a little bit. This width of the cabinet looks better than it did in the 1 point, so I'm just going to let it be what it is. But why not, as I go into this, make it better? All right. This is a good setup for that now. I'm going to erase this line in here. Okay, maybe this time, so I don't have to do so much erasing, I'm going to get the thickness of this board. So I want the thickness of this end board. I'm going to put my paper this way, and I'm going to draw that board in right now. Live and learn, right? Maybe I want to move this stuff so that we can see better. I'm not worrying too much about whether this is thinner than that, but I'm thinking about it as I do it and making sure that if it was very thick, I'd want to make sure that it showed up like that, right? Okay, we divided this into 5 different shelves, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 4 in between. So find the middle. Put a mark below and above that. And then divide those final spaces in half and then look at them and judge them. If this line here, as it goes off to vanishing point right, makes this look too cramped, then maybe your next line is going to be below it to help even that out. And then this line is going to go a little bit below that. As it rises towards vanishing point. So in a 2 point, we said you don't get horizontal lines, but if you put a shelf directly on this 5 foot level, then going to vanishing point actually is horizontal, right? So things get horizontal here at the 5 foot horizon line, right? That's where your eye is. Alright, so now I've got shelves in my cabinet. They look a little wonky. I could change one shelf just to make it a little nicer. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Drawing is a series of corrections. And I never do it perfectly the first time. Great. Now I want to find the center. So I'm going to go from corner to corner and corner to corner, and then vertical, and then from this point to that point and vertical, and from this point and vertical. So now I have guidelines 1, 2, 3 that are going to set me up for this thing here. So this one here in the center on the top, jump a shelf in the middle and do it on the bottom. And then I'm going to put 2 lines here and here to show the thickness of that board, and lines here to show the thickness of this board. Notice that these are lining up. Notice that these are lining up. All right? We always want to make sure that things go lining up. Now, we're going to show the top and the sides and the depth and the dimension. Are we going to see this line here happen? Yes, because see how this line here, this corner, I need to make a line showing the top of the shelf here, right? So I put my pencil here and I go where? Well, I already have vertical. I already have vanishing point right, so I guess I go vanishing point left. So this line's going to come in this way till it hits that floor line. Then here it's going to go straight up and down, because this one's going straight up and down. These two are parallel. And here I'm going to be coming this direction, just underneath there, it looks like. Now here I need to go up towards my vanishing point left till I hit that. And this comes up, so I can clear this line out of there, because here I'm seeing a shelf going up and down there. So here it goes vanishing point right, and here it goes vanishing point left, and here it goes vertical. Right, left, vertical, right, left, vertical. Every corner I have to make sure it does that. So let's come to this corner. Would I see that? Well, that's going off this way, inside of that, so I don't need to draw it. This here, yep, vanishing point left, vanishing point left, vanishing point left, left vanishing point here, and here, and here, and here, and here. Here? No, I'm already got that. So on this shelf, I'm not going to see top or bottom. But I need to come up here and say, do I go to vanishing point left, right? Left, right? Right, left? Okay. These are too long. I feel like I'm going to see the wall back in there like I did over on this one, right? So come to this center one, walk it back to the back of the shelf, and see that line right there? That's where this one's going to end. So bring that line straight up and let this end right there. There's the shelf in the middle. So now I need to go to vanishing point right, away from there. That's going to set this up nicely. And it looks like over here I'm going to see maybe just a little bit of this, because this needs to line up with that. This should come from vanishing point right here. Got to correct it a little bit. The nice thing about perspective is it kind of checks itself. When I come up from here, I saw that I drew this line a little bit crooked, so I changed it. Here I'm seeing the wall, here I'm seeing the top of the shelf, here I'm seeing the inside of the shelf. The wall, the top of the shelf, the inside of the shelf. This should be done here, so I took this to here in the middle. Now I need to do it at the top. At the top, though, this should be going to vanishing point right from here. So I'm going to see something like this happening, where I see the top of the cabinet, the wall, the inside of that shelf. This shelf, I don't see the top or the bottom because it's right at my eye level. This line needs to keep coming over there, so it looks like I'm going to see a little bit of that, and actually the end of this cabinet should line. If I did that and that, then I got to bring this right up there as well. So I'm going to have this go to vanishing point left, and then I'm going to take this point and I'm going to connect it to that point on their way to vanishing point right. This is coming up here. I need to figure out where this shelf is going to hit the back. So I'm going to walk this down to the floor. I'm going to walk it back towards vanishing point left, and that's my line right there. So I'm going to take that line all the way up to here. I'm going to say that's going to be the back of that shelf, and it's going to be the back of this shelf right here. Now I've got these corners that needs to come from vanishing point right. And I've got these shelves here to help me sort of stay, I don't want to cross that line, right? So there's the back of that shelf, and that should come out here and line up with this shelf, actually. That tells me where this line's going to go without walking this down to the floor. I can double check it. I can walk this to the floor and take this to vanishing point left, and then this should be the back there, and that should line up with that. Indeed it does, so I'm very happy about that. If it doesn't, I'm going to figure out what I did and change it. These 2 points need to connect on their way to vanishing point right. So there's the top of those shelves. This looks a little wonky. I'm going to have to change this a little bit. Feels better that way, and I'm going to erase that a little bit so I see that's the wall. This is the side of the shelf, top of the shelf, wall, side of the shelf, side of the shelf. Here's the top of the shelf in here. Just a tiny little sliver of that. So just like the ellipse, when it moved away from our eye, we saw more and more of the top of it. Here we saw a little bit of the ellipse. Here we saw a little more. Here we see quite a lot of it. As the shelves move away from our eye, we see more too. See how we see none of the top here, a little bit of the top there, more, more, more. Same thing here, none, a little, some, more, and more. You kind of can see inside of things. That's why you get down on one knee sometimes when you're trying to see up underneath the shelf, right? You got to move your eye level or your station point to be able to see inside of things and figure out how they're made and constructed. All right, I'm going with my eraser, make some cleanups, and get that shelf unit drawn in a 2-point. Notice the difference. This has a horizontal. This has no horizontal lines in it. All right, so as we draw these rooms out with square objects that are lined up with the walls, everything is going to go in a 2-point. We have height, width, and depth. Height always goes vertical. Width and depth go to a 1-point, or go to the right vanishing point or the left vanishing point. And if you say this is width, then this is going to be the width of all these, and then the depth would be the depth of all those.